Welcome to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Some people call this the City of Champions. Some people call it the greatest city in the world. I call it home. I was born not 10 minutes from here, which makes it the perfect place to begin my journey. Join me as I travel the world, talking to cool people, drinking cool things, and seeing cool stuff. But for now, welcome to Pittsburgh. We are headed to Kelly's Bar and Lounge in the East Liberty neighborhood of Pittsburgh. It is one of my favorite dive bars in a city, with no shortage of incredible dive bars. In fact, I love Kelly's so much that I put it on a top 10 list of best dive bars in the country. The crowd is diverse, the mac and cheese is made to order, and the drinks are cheap. Kelly's has a couple dozen classic cocktails on its list, throwbacks like the Americano and the Rusty Nail. It's an American treasure. The bar has vinyl seats, graffiti on the bathroom walls, and not a single TV in sight. I'm here to talk to the owner, Caleb Cornell, who used to work here as a bartender. What are you trying to create here? What is the atmosphere when somebody comes in that you're hoping they get?
For the most part, people come in here like, wow, I really love like the retro vibe of this place because it's so rare. We don't have a particular shtick, we don't have a gimmick, we don't have walls lined with televisions. You know, we try to create the environment where you can have an honest conversation with a person sitting next to you and not be distracted by a football game or, you know, anything else. We try to just kind of recreate like the same local tavern neighborhood bar style that this place has had since the 1940s.
As somebody who's from here, one of the things I love most about Pittsburgh is its authenticity. There's a lot of history here, there's a lot of culture here.
Sure.
You know, is that something that you think is changing, or do you think Pittsburgh is able to maintain that authentic nature on the whole?
The city as a whole, I mean, I think it's still Pittsburgh. You're never going to be able to erase that kind of blue collar, working class attitude of Pittsburgh, no matter how many Googles or, you know, insert multinational corporation here come in. It's hard to put together a critique of what new Pittsburgh could be considered if you don't have a semblance of what old Pittsburgh was. You know, the air filled with smoke and everything covered in a layer of dust and significant poverty, and, you know, like where steel ruled the town. Has the city changed? Sure, but for the better or worse, that's, you know, in the eye of the beholder. You know, people wanting to move to Pittsburgh. That never used to happen. People used to try to flee Pittsburgh as soon as they possibly could. That's never going to cease to kind of baffle me. It's like, wow, okay, well, welcome. You know, glad you're here.
What's the cheapest cocktail on the menu?
Any of the rail drinks. Rail drinks are $4. You know, you want a whiskey Coke? $4. Want a gin and tonic? $4.
I can come in here in 2021 and get a cocktail that's well made, that's tasty, that comes to me in under 60 seconds for $4.
Goddamn right.
God bless Kelly's.
That's all we do.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Even as Pittsburgh grows and changes, there's nothing I love more than seeing thoughtful people and brands taking the old and reimagining it for a modern audience. How's that? Just need a bandana, huh? Yeah. Pretty fierce. If you want to see some Steel City authenticity, look no further than the Pittsburgh Brewing Company. The brewery made Iron City Lager, which quickly became a staple in the blue-collar city of Pittsburgh. And that was made right here, in the company's original facility smack dab between the Lawrenceville and Bloomfield neighborhoods in Pittsburgh.
So now you're entering the original executive offices for Pittsburgh Brewing. I do not know exactly how old that piece is, but when I came for my interview back in 1991, this was all here, so it's been here for a while.
That's Todd Zwicker. He's a Steel City native and the general sales manager of the Pittsburgh Brewing Company. With the exception of the company's brewmaster, he might know more about the history of the company than any other person alive. This brewery started 1861?
Yes.
1861.
Yeah, when Iron City became a brand, there wasn't a lot of lager beers back then. It was very, very highly sought after. It was a very unique beer. People came from all over the United States, and at one time Pittsburgh Brewing was one of the bigger breweries in the United States. We are now currently standing in the original facility for Pittsburgh Brewing was. Unfortunately, back in 2009, we had to cease our brewing, but the structure still sits here.
Should we check it out?
Yeah, let's go. We'll go in the where the brew house used to be, providing I have the appropriate key. Oh yeah, got the key. Let's see what state of affairs is in here.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is old school here.
Glad I wore my closed-toed shoes.
Yeah,
I just got my tetanus shot updated too, so
Good.
I'm golden.
There we go. We're good. We'll leave it like that. We're just using this for storage now, but all the kegs used to come in here and were filled in this room, and that opening over there goes into the keg cooler.
In its heyday, how many barrels did they produce here?
Well, at one time, this was a 1 million barrel brewery.
Wow.
Back in the, when IC Light was in its heyday, in the, I think it was late 70s, early 80s, it was a 1 million barrel brewery. Now be very careful here. This is the old brew house.
Huh.
So you can see where all of the old brewing equipment was, the kettles, the cookers, all in this area here. Now we can go up these stairs and look down on it if you like, but you can see the vast size of how the vessels used to be. And you'll see like a lot of the old brew houses had a lot of glass to let in light.
Is this the original floor?
That's the original floor, yeah.
Cool. Come over here. I heard if you drink this water, you get a nice buzz.
Yeah. I mean, it's, again, this used to be a 1 million barrel facility, you know, when IC Light was in its heyday. I mean, there's not a lot of breweries that could say that. When it was first being brewed in 1861, there wasn't a lot of lager beers done nationally, and there was a lot of people that would come to Western PA. This was highly sought after. This was one of the bigger breweries in the country at that time.
Why did brewing move? Why did production move?
The equipment was aging. It needed to be updated, and I can't speak for why it wasn't over the years, but obviously that costs substantial dollars, you know, substantial capital.
What was this neighborhood like when you were a kid growing up here?
Lawrenceville was fine. It was blue collar. You know, there's a lot of neighborhoods in Pittsburgh. They get a second lease on life, and Lawrenceville was one of them. Not a lot of neighborhoods experience, you know, that type of opportunity.
So you're bringing brewing operations back to Pittsburgh.
Very much so, in a big, big way. It's exciting.
Can we go see the new
Let's
facility?
go see it. Yeah, you'll be impressed. Absolutely.
How do you say Iron City in Pittsburgh?
Iron.
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 Give me an iron in that.
Yeah, give me an iron.
Today, Pittsburgh Brewing Company has an impressive presence in the city. You'll see their logo everywhere, often co-branded with Pittsburgh sports teams. This is because in 2018, the brewery was purchased by Pittsburgh native Cliff Forrest, who vowed to bring brewing operations from Latrobe back to Pittsburgh. And that's going to happen here, in a state-of-the-art facility about 20 miles northeast of the city. When production is fully up and running here, what is the scope and scale? What's this going to look like?
So right now we currently brew around 100,000 barrels of all of our brands. This facility, phase 1, will be 150,000 barrels. There is a phase 2, which would be 300, and there's a phase 3, which would be 500.
So for those who don't know, a small independent brewery, craft brewery in their hometown is making, what, 2,000 barrels a year?
Yeah.
3,000 barrels?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a lot less. It could be significantly more, but we're a 100,000 barrel brewery. That is, it pales in comparison to the nationals, obviously, but 100,000 barrels, that's a lot of beer. That's a lot of liquid.
When you were growing up, did you have Iron City around the house, or do you remember the brand from growing up?
When I was underage, yes, I mean, that's what we drank. And that's legit. That's not just saying that. I mean, when IC Light came out, which was late 70s, in its heyday in the 80s, it was 75% of the light beer market in Western Pennsylvania.
Wow.
That's what you did. Now, whether it was Iron City or IC Light, that's what you drank. And there really wasn't, there was other options, but they weren't prominent options. You know, everybody drank the local. We want to get back to that, and we are getting back to that. But this is a 42-acre facility.
Wow.
It is a massive piece of property, and there's a lot of property that's not under roof, so we could definitely have events here, you know, concerts, Oktoberfests as we move forward.
This is a nice view of the whole facility here, huh?
So again, you can see this is where we came out of. A lot of people are calling it the battleship warehouse, but that'll be full goods shipping. This center section here will be all the packaging and production. That far building, that far piece down there is where the brewing will be.
Have you talked to people in this neighborhood? You know, this is old Pittsburgh mill town, I imagine.
PPG was here back in 1883, still has that small town feel here, but they're very supportive and helping us with any questions, permitting, whatever we might need. They want to carry the brands. Again, that's being relevant and supportive. I mean, the whole Allegheny Valley here knows what's going on here, and they want to be part of it. We're giving them a reason to be part of it. We want to be part of it, and it's happening.
I heard a rumor that the original brewmaster from, the 80s?
Yes.
Is
actually 70s.
70s?
Yeah.
Still here?
Yep. Mike Carrata. He's been here for 42 years. He's seen it all and he's done it all.
If you were going to tell somebody who is going to be visiting or who's coming in, how do you describe the city?
Personally, I like the different ethnic neighborhoods. A lot of those areas are very iconic. You can still get a lot of great food, but there's still a lot of mom and pop restaurants that are in the Pittsburgh area, and that's exciting. But it's interesting over the years just talking to people that were relocated here that don't know the city. They had a lot of bad intel before they came here, like, I don't know about Pittsburgh. I said, what do you think now? And they go, it's beautiful.
What are the icy light colors?
Black and gold.
Did you see this yet? If you're from Pittsburgh, you know Pittsburgh. But if you've heard about Pittsburgh lately, it's probably for the tech. We've got Duolingo, Google, self-driving cars, and more. But if you look past the shiny tech buildings, you'll see that the city is home to many unexpected gems that showcase its multicultural history. Chengdu Gourmet might look like a hole in the wall, and it totally is. But the owner has been nominated for a James Beard Award, and it's one of the best restaurants in Pittsburgh. Plus, you can bring your own beer. Let's go. I'm here to meet Dave Bracey, one half of the Drinking Partners podcast and founder of Barrel and Flow, a beer festival celebrating Black brewers. It takes place right here in Pittsburgh. In 2019, over 3,000 people attended, making it the largest event of its kind in the world. Cheers to you, sir. All right, so tell me, Mr. Day, about you. You from Pittsburgh?
Yeah, from Braddock originally. Spent a lot of time on Braddock Beach, right next to the steel mill. Just wild. It used to be like a thriving neighborhood. We had like a whole street full of like thriving businesses, and then 10 years later, like by the time I was 10, there were like 2 on that street, maybe 3.
Why did that happen?
The steel mill closed. I mean, so I'm an 80s baby, so I was born in 82. So I was, coming into it as the decline, was happening, and, it was pretty complete by the 90s.
Oh boy.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Thank you so much. You hate to be interrupted, but look at that.
That is phenomenal. I don't even know how to eat that.
We'll figure it out together, Dave. Because I don't either. Green beans with pork, why not? Don't tell my rabbi, man. So you began a project a couple years ago that is one of a kind, and it's right here in Pittsburgh. Can you talk a little bit about how Barrel and Flow got started?
So me and Ed at the podcast for a couple of years had noticed, wasn't a whole lot of diversity around.
It's a very politically correct way of saying it. What do we really mean here?
It was white as fuck.
No black people at beer festivals.
There's no anybody other than typically bearded white dudes and some tokens. So, we're like, well, how can we help change that? A brew festival seemed like the natural progression. I think we had something around like 45 breweries the first year. 10 were black owned. It ended up being 1,200 people. We ran out of glass because we only ordered 700. So they had to run the restaurant depot and get some more glasses. And then they ran out of another 100 or so. So then they had to switch to Dixie cups. You know what I mean? And we kept taking money off every time. But I mean, it was insane, the feedback. And, everybody was just like, oh man, this is such a beautiful city. And, my biggest selling point when I leave out of here, you could take that big LA, salary and come live here and, actually make some change. You know what I mean? Some real change in a shorter period of time. And this festival, I feel has been doing, a fairly decent job of attracting folks, at least putting it on their radar.
Well, cheers to that. I'll drink
sir.
to that. I love Pittsburgh. If industrial history is your thing, along with good people, cheap beer, successful sports, winding rivers, rolling hills, and the best soup dumplings this side of the Mississippi, maybe I'll see you here. Until then, next exit!